There's one more thing I wanted to talk about today, and that is the CPI. The inflation report came out. So inflation has actually gone down, which you might be pleased to hear about. But actually, the figures were for March. Okay, so if you don't know the inflation report, it comes out every month. Told us the consumer price index for the previous month, and so the one that came out just 2 days ago was 5%. So inflation is prices are only increasing by 5% a year for adding the March figures. Okay. And that's trending downwards. It was up at, I think it was 9.1 last June. So it's come from 9.1 last year all the way down to 5%. However, on April 2nd, that is when OPEC Plus, the largest petroleum cartel, control 60% of the world's oil. They announced that they were cutting production by over 1 million barrels of oil per day. And, if you don't know, cutting production, it increases the price of oil because there's less oil on the market, same amount of buyers fighting over less oil. So they bid the price up. So prices rise. And oil immediately shot up from around $65 to around $80 per barrel. I saw it at $83 like a day or two ago. And, this will lead to obviously an increase in prices of gasoline at the pump for normal consumers, basically anything that uses oil, the price of getting goods to market, etc. So the idea being that the inflation report, although it was good, the numbers are actually now out of date already.
Yeah, severely out of date. And when people look at 5%, they go, "Oh, it's better than 9%." Like it's supposed to be 1.9%. It's supposed to be 2% at most
Yeah.
for inflation. And the truth of the matter is, inflation's the invisible tax on the people. So whatever you work for today isn't worth what it is today, tomorrow when you get paid for it.
And
So
even 5% is the manipulated number. They used to work it out differently in the 80s, and it would probably be 10 or 15% if you're using the old method.
yeah, the value of the dollar continues to decline every month. The housing market, they say it's slowly cooling off and the price is going down, but there's going to be a pretty even spot when it comes to inflation. So it's going to go down in value, but it's going down in value because the dollar's going down in value. So everything that you're buying costs more. It's not that they're raising the price of, chicken, or they're raising the price of beef, or, all these different things. That's interesting though. But today there was an explosion that killed 18,000 cows. I forgot to mention that. That was pretty crazy. I don't know if you heard about
Whoa.
that. That was in Texas.
18,000 cows died in an explosion?
18,000 cows. Yeah. It's pretty mind blowing to think about. And that's going to affect the cost of beef. I guarantee it.
Tom, let's get an article about that on screen. Oh, yeah, look, you read my mind. More than 18,000 cows are dead after a dairy farm explode. How does a dairy farm explode anyway? What are they storing in there?
Yeah. I don't know. A lot of methane, cow farts.
Oh my goodness, this is crazy. All right, we're gonna have to look into that. Well, I mean, there's a lot of stuff happening like that now, isn't there? When farms are exploding, factories, egg production plants.
Yeah.
Like some people think that this is actually like Chinese infiltration in the
Yeah.
U.S. destroying food production in order to weaken, the
Subvert
country.
warfare, right?
Yeah,
So it's
same with
kind
that
of like,
train derailment in Ohio.
yeah, in Palestine.
Yeah.
That was now declared a federal emergency, I think, what, 4 weeks after it happened.
It's funny. Originally, they said that they wouldn't declare it a federal emergency, and then Trump went there and personally donated some money, and then Biden was like, "Oh, actually, we better do something." All right, federal emergency.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
can't be handing out bottles of water that say Trump on it. No, 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 no. We got to get rid of that. So that's what happened there. But I think that with the CPI, it's a very manipulated thing. It's kind of like the invisible hand of the stock market has some play in there
Yeah.
now, where you're seeing, I think it was explained to me by you earlier, like, okay, if you have a basket of goods and then they're like, well, eggs cost too much, we're going to get rid of those. We're going to put bread in instead because it's cheaper.
Oh, it was like, no, the substitution. Yeah, it was like originally the person bought higher quality eggs, and then the prices start going up, so they account for the person switching to a store name brand instead of a better brand or whatever. So they don't. It's not a constant basket of goods. It's like
Yeah.
changing past, which lowers the inflation figure. Yeah.
Yes. So again, it's this constantly manipulated figure that goes in. I'm curious to see what state goes to. I mean, I bought some sirloins for Easter. I think they were like $32 for 4 of them. They were about 8 ounces, so about 2 pounds was $32 of top prime sirloin. So
Oh, okay.
$16 a pound. Let's see where they're at in a week. But it says it was a dairy farm. But I still feel like it's going to affect meat prices because they're going to go, oh, dairy farm, 18,000 cows.
Yeah. Oh, milk. I mean, it'll affect milk, won't it? That's what
Milk's
it'll affect,
already
right?
through the roof.
Maybe cappuccinos are going to get more expensive. The hipsters in Williamsburg won't be able to get their cappuccinos. Yeah.
We'll have to switch to tea, afternoon tea, Ben.
Yeah. I love cappuccinos, man. I got the Nespresso machine at home. I got the little milk thing that does the milk with all the bubbles and stuff. It's really good. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
great. Yeah, no. So I'm curious to see what the next month's inflation numbers will be, and then is
Yeah.
the Fed going to raise basis points?
Yes. Yeah. So right now they believe the Fed will raise by another 25 basis points in May. So my prediction is that it's going to go higher for April. The figure that's released in May, that's the April figure, will go higher. And then I think it will start to go down again. Maybe we'll see sub 5% after that, but we don't really know what's going to happen, right? So if another crisis happens or whatever, it's going to shoot right back up again. So if everything kind of cools off, it will go down, I believe, because the Fed's raising rates, etc. I think it is working, right? The raising rates. But then when a crisis comes, like, Silicon Valley Bank or whatever, the next crisis,
Credit default swaps come along.
yeah, I think some other things could be coming. So that's my prediction. It goes up the next month's figures, then it starts to go down. But when the next crisis comes, perhaps it goes back up again. Who knows? Yeah.
We what do you think? July, August, September? When's the next crisis?
Well, it depends what it is. I mean, like, obviously, it would have to be like a crisis like supply chains or, to drive up the price of something. Maybe a bank collapsing would that do it? I don't know. I think it has
Well,
to
we
be
just
more
saw
like
a bank collapse. So
we just saw a bank collapse and it didn't really. Yeah. So if we look at the inflation chart, actually, it didn't really affect inflation too much. So I think it needs to be something more like 18,000 cows dying of an explosion or, major supply chain disruption or, a protest or whatever. So, yeah.
well, I'm curious to see how the mortgage applications go over the next 3 months as they continue to raise rates. I mean
We're
that's
already
probably,
at a pretty low level, right?
yeah, 40-year low for applications. So
Wow.
the last time they were this low was 1983, and that's when we saw rates go up to what, 11%, 14%. I mean, they were
But people
advertised.
just aren't used to rates anymore, are they? Because we've had it
No,
free money for so long.
we've had free money
7%,
since '08.
right? 7% feels like 8%, you know?
Oh, 7% feels like 20%.
Sorry,
I,
that's what I meant. Yeah, 7% feels like, 15 or whatever.
yeah,
They got 40-year mortgages now. They're bringing in
yeah, I
40-year
saw that.
mortgages. The FHA starting in May, 40-year mortgages.
I mean, why don't we just call it
You start
150 and
one at
everyone figure it out?
25. You start a 40-year mortgage at 25, you pay it off by the time you retire. Your whole life you're paying a mortgage. Crazy. If you
Yeah,
start it
that
too late, you wouldn't be able to retire unless you
and
refinance into something shorter.
it's kind of like the car loans went from 48 months to 60 months to now 72 months to 84 months. I think Chrysler offers 84-month loans on a
Yeah.
vehicle. So 7, 8 years in a car. Like, does it last that long?
I think the one I've got is 72 months. I mean, it's
Wow.
worth doing if you have a low rate. I have a low rate on it, so, you know.
Yeah, no, I mean, I just think a lot of people that actually might see the mortgage applications go up where they go, okay, I can get a 40-year mortgage and then I can own the house.
Yeah, and I can refinance it in the future when rates come down.
Yeah, that's actually
That's the
interesting.
logic.
That's the
It'll help you
logic,
get on
yeah.
the ladder now. Yeah, help you get on the housing ladder now with the lower payment, and then in the future, maybe a couple of years when the rates are back down at like 4%, 3%, you refinance it into a 30-year, and you actually would be paying less. I did a calculation. If you got in at 40 years at 6% now, and you refinanced it into a 30-year, in a couple of years, let's say if rates go down to 4%, you'd actually be paying $400 less a month, even though you've shortened the term from 40 years down to 30 years.
Really?
So yeah, you can. I did it with a mortgage calculator, checked it out. So it does make sense as just a tool to get on the housing ladder. but you don't want to keep that 40-year mortgage. You
No,
want to
not at
refinance it
all.
when you get the chance.
Yeah, that
But
makes complete.
uneducated people, you might get the situation where uneducated people do just end up keeping it, so it's
You should
important to
you should do a short
learn.
on that so we can understand it a little bit better.
Yeah.
Mm,
Yeah.
that would be
Yeah.
interesting.
All
All
right,
right.
guys. Well, I think that is basically all of the most interesting financial and weird news for the week. I don't know if that Elon Musk stuff really counts as finance news, but it's kind of related. It's business. He's a businessman, so it's kind of
Oh,
related. So guys, let us know, depending where you're watching this. If you're watching this on YouTube, leave comments below. If you're listening on one of the podcast platforms, do leave us a review, leave us a 5-star rating, and also share this podcast with your friends. We do thank you very much for doing so.
thank you. Thank you.
Cool. All right. Well, I'm signing off. We'll see you next time on Dirty Money.